Mark Zuckerberg ditched the t-shirt and put on a suit and tie to face hours of grilling from nearly half of the U.S. Senate. He came prepared and apologetic.
We didn't take a broad enough view of our responsibility, and that was a big mistake. And it was my mistake, and I'm sorry.
Senators were in no mood for apologies.
Why should we trust Facebook to make the necessary changes to ensure user privacy and give people a clearer picture of your privacy policies?
We have made a lot of mistakes in running the company, but I'm committed to getting this right.
There were pointed questions about Cambridge Analytica, the Trump-linked data firm that accessed close to 87 million profiles in an attempt to influence the last election. Zuckerberg said their handling of the situation was clearly a mistake.
You were hijacked by Cambridge Analytica for political purposes. Are you angry about that?
Absolutely.
He was also contrite about Russian meddling in the 2016 election, saying Facebook didn't see it coming, but it's working hard to fix the problem for future campaigns.
This is an arms race, right? I mean, they're going to keep on getting better at this, and we need to invest in keeping on getting better at this too.
He also acknowledged working with special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation, but didn't go into detail. In fact, senators seized on his reticence to share information.
Mr. Zuckerberg, would you be comfortable sharing with us the name of the hotel you stayed in last night?
No.
If you've messaged anybody this week, would you share with us the names of the people you've messaged?
Senator, no, I would probably not choose to do that publicly here.
I think that may be what this is all about.
The overarching message from senators today for Facebook and the entire tech industry: get your house in order, because the days of operating with little government regulation are likely coming to an end. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, New York.
Getting grilled by dozens of U.S. senators is one thing, but the lifeblood of Facebook, the people it's accountable to directly, are its advertisers. They are customer number one. So when it comes to how they can use your personal information to their advantage, what changes here, if anything? Senior technology reporter Matthew Braga joins us with more on that. Matthew.
Well, so Andrew, I mean, make no mistake, Facebook is one of the biggest targeted advertising, some would say surveillance platforms on the internet. And so it's unlikely to make any big moves that will change its business model. But to understand that business, you have to take a look at the relationship between Facebook, advertisers, and our information.
98% of Facebook's revenue comes from advertisers. And while they don't sell your data, what they do sell is access to a platform that makes it as easy as possible for advertisers to reach you based on your interests. You've told Facebook you went to UBC, you've liked Tim Hortons, and you've joined a group for fans of 60s jazz pianists. And advertisers can use all of those details to target you. But what you haven't told Facebook is you're also looking to buy a car. So why are all those ads for Fords and Hondas following you around the site? It could be because you've been browsing the website for a local car dealership while also logged into Facebook. The dealership uses a piece of tracking code called a Facebook pixel. It's totally invisible, and it can tell Facebook where you've been on the car dealership's website. That's how the advertiser knows which make, model, or even color of car to use in the ads it targets you with. And that's not all advertisers can do to get to know you. If I sell artisanal beach umbrellas, I could create what's called a custom audience. It's a feature that lets advertisers upload their own customer lists to Facebook and then target them, or people like them, with ads. And that's just using the information advertisers already have. They can also work with third parties known as data brokers. These are companies that sell access to information they've collected about consumer behavior, like lists of people who buy a certain brand of shampoo, or haven't paid off their mortgage, or recently got engaged. That's data that advertisers can use to further tailor and target their ads. It's made all the more valuable based on what you tell Facebook and what Facebook can learn on its own.
So as we said, Facebook isn't planning to upend this relationship completely. What they are doing is phasing out an existing feature in some countries, like the US, that made it easier to work with these data brokers. So advertisers can still work with them, they just won't have Facebook's help. Now, keep in mind, Canada never had this feature in the first place. Our privacy laws make data harder to collect and aggregate and be sold, and there has to be an option for Canadians to opt out. So if you're worried about being tracked here, it's more up to you to limit what you share with Facebook.
Right, and yet, it was interesting to hear Zuckerberg say in his testimony today that he actually thought targeted advertising was a good thing, relevant ads for users, and that users agree with him.
Yeah, well, and we tried to talk to a few advertisers about this, and they didn't want to speak on the record, but one very much echoed what Zuckerberg had to say, saying that, if platforms like these impose further limits on access to data, it will effectively send advertising back in time.
I think it will make ads less effective. I think that you'll see a lot more irrelevant ads. I think that actually targeted advertising, outside of the privacy concerns, does serve a purpose in delivering the ads that are more relevant to each individual consumer.
Which could mean you won't just have to worry about Facebook, but more targeting by brands and advertisers themselves across loyalty programs, their websites, email, newsletters, apps, and more.
All right, always good to have you. And Matthew Braga, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And one last note on this story. In the wake of the Cambridge Analytica scandal, Facebook is now notifying users if they were one of the 87 million people whose data might have been misused. But you can also check yourself. Here's how. First, log in, go to facebook.com/help. Then in the search box, you can type in Cambridge Analytica. Clicking the first result will automatically check whether you or your friends used the now defunct This Is Your Digital Life app back in 2014. That was the personality quiz whose data was sold to Cambridge Analytica.